Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider and lead Lakers content creator for Offside, joined on this somewhat annoying Sunday night by Raj Chapalu. First time in a while.
Yeah.
Raj, you had that work trip, and then we haven't spoken basically in a week, and quite a bit has gone down in that
It
week.
has.
So it might be one of those episodes. I kind of doubt it because I want to go off and watch Game of Thrones, but it might be one of those conversations that kind of wanders all over the place. In this conversation, we're going to be talking about that Lakers loss that just happened a second ago, as the Lakers lose in a final score of 112-100 in Madison Square Garden. They fall to 29-19. The Knicks improve to 31-18. We'll talk about some of the aspects of that game that kind of caught my eye. One of those things that caught my eye is that Austin Reaves didn't play again. This after I had reported that had heard legitimate optimism that he was going to be ready to go Friday. He didn't play Friday, didn't play today. JJ Redick doesn't seem too concerned about it, but anytime you go, you're 4 days removed from a game that you thought that he was going to go in, and there is no updated information, that starts to get a little frustrating. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Over the weekend, we saw DeAndre Hunter, who was a trade target of the Lakers, traded to the Sacramento Kings. And some of the explanations and some of the things that I've been hearing, kind of give the Lakers' hand away a little bit for how they're going to handle this trade deadline. So Raj and I will talk about that. And, it's one of those situations, I believe, where I don't know how Raj feels about this, but what I would like to see from the Lakers and what it seems the Lakers are getting ready to do are two very different things. So we will discuss that. And then, as always, if you guys have any questions or comments over the course of the show, hit us with them and we will address them, at various points over the course of the show, but especially there at the tail end when we do our usual Q&A. Raj, how you holding up, bud?
I am good. I missed the first half. I was out hiking, which actually takes longer than you ever think. So I planned this hike around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, we'll go up. I'll be down by
golf is the same way, which I was golfing today.
Okay. Yeah. And so
but golf is like you say, like, all right, my tee time's at so-and-so time. You make 4 or so hours or so, and then it always just happens to where, like, I get a call at like the 15th hole from Jen. Hey, how's it going? You on your way back soon? Just a few more holes, babe. Just a few more holes.
What's funny is though, like, hiking, there's no internet connection, right? So I'm planning, it's an NBC game, national TV. I'm thinking I have some time. So we're up, it's around 3:30. I was like, all right, let's go back down. Like, I'm trying to catch at least some of this game. I get down around 4:30, 4:45. Anthony, it's already the first quarter is over. I'm like, did this game start on time? Were there no free throws? Or, and this is like the one game where there's just no free throws and it's flying through it. So, but I did get to catch the second half in this one. But yeah, tough.
It was a physical game. Like, it actually really was a physical game in this one, where, and that's been a thing, I talked to Pete about it in the last episode of The Hook that he and I recorded together. And I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Lakers, like, one of those frustrating stretches of the season would coincide with the refereeing changing to where they allow more physicality. There's fewer attempts at the free throw line, and that has, I think, really impacted the Lakers offense, which makes me a little nervous about the postseason. But this one was physical. I thought it was interesting that DeAndre Ayton, Freudian slip, DeAndre Ayton didn't finish this game. The Lakers finished this game with a small unit, where like, and it worked against Dallas and Dallas's size. Now against Dallas, I think it worked because Jason Kidd, for some reason, also went small and went away from Dallas's strength. In this one, New York, like Mike Brown was like, nah, it's cute. You guys can go small if you want, but nah. And at various points in the fourth quarter, actually, you saw Cat and Mitchell Robinson out on the court together. And in a game that it didn't seem like JJ Redick really trusted DeAndre Ayton, which he had 13 points and only 5 rebounds in this one. So not the best Ayton game in this one. Finishing small like that, I thought, they couldn't get a rebound, they couldn't get a stop, and it was a lot of offensive rebounds lead to kickouts to a wide open Landry Shamet, who scored 23 points in this one. And it was just an annoying. And then Raj, the part that I'm curious with your thoughts on is the Lakers offense sputtered in the second half. And that's the one thing that cannot happen if the Lakers have any chance against any good teams. They have to be overwhelming offensively, and they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think they lost this game. Again, didn't really catch much of the first half, but second half, it felt like we missed a lot of open shots. I mean, 18 points in the fourth quarter, right? You had 33 in the first, 26 in the third. I thought the offense just did not match. And the Knicks role players, credit to them, I feel like they hit every corner three that existed. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby were firing from three. And that's kind of what you get also, playing at home, your role players hit, their threes. But the Knicks shot 42% from three. The Lakers shot 28%, and they're shooters that you kind of want taking them. Rui went 1 for 5. Luka again, I think, goes for like 5 for 14, but Jake goes, I think, 0 for 3. Like those are the kind of shots
in the first half.
In the first half, yeah. And so I think that's kind of where you miss Austin. Like I'm not as upset about this game. I think, this is a really good Knicks team that's been on a winning streak. And that's why I was hoping Austin would play. This is like one where we actually really need his offensive output. And you control Jalen Brunson to an extent. You were talking about it was a physical game. Brunson only had like 2 free throws in this one, which is, really strange in terms of he can eat at the line for quarters at a time. But yeah, I think you're right. The offense just kind of sputtered. And that's where you hope, you were reporting about Austin, them feeling good about Austin, a few games ago, but hopefully he's back. I'm not sure they need him for the Brooklyn game coming up, but at least these home games that are coming up against Philly and other, good teams that will be coming in. But yeah, the 100 points, on the road, like you hold a team to 112. That's usually a nice bar. Like you should be able to win that game, but the offense just did not come through.
Yeah. Yeah, I never go so far unless like I see a dude on the court. I will never be like,
right.
I am told Austin is going to play tonight, I always try to phrase it as like, there's optimism that he might come back, and I try to qualify it with stuff because especially with these soft tissue injuries, you just never quite know. And in that region of the body where it's a calf and it's connected to the Achilles, and they're going to be hyper cautious about this. And that's what I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not going to lie. I haven't looked into it before you and I went live. So when we're done here, I will, just kind of check in on, hey, what's going on, and see what kind of, information I can unearth. But I agree that the offense misses Austin, but I thought it was kind of a weird LeBron second half, and it looked to me like the Knicks were really trying to get the ball out of Luka's hands. And you would think that should lend itself to LeBron doing some stuff, and the ball switches sides. And I don't know if it was a matter of like Luka trying to force the issue, over the top of or through some of those double teams and stuff. But I thought it was a weird LeBron game. He finishes, his line looks mostly okay. 22 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, only the 1 turnover. But I thought like, and this is the thing that I kind of frustrates me sometimes is teams like they have to get the ball out of Luka's hands, and they have to, assign a little extra help to him. And you would think that should open the game up to get the ball very quickly over to the other side of the court to LeBron where he can attack. And he did have one blow by dunk when he drove by, I think it was Karl Anthony Towns on one of those skip pass opportunities. If that's what you're going to do, right? If that's what you like, if you're not going to run anything with Luka and LeBron and you're going to have LeBron on the weak side, then, and you have Luka, who is one of the better skip pass throwers ever, like that should be something that the Lakers should be able to take advantage of. And it was really weird that they weren't able to. And it's always weird and annoying when they aren't.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks are also a little bit better prepared than other teams. They can switch that they can switch that action a little bit better. They have Hart and OG Anunoby that they can kind of throw. Obviously Mikal Bridges as well, but like they have a bunch of wing defenders that can throw at them. But LeBron was efficient, 9 for 15. Anthony, if our outside shooters don't hit, they don't really break the defense down, right? If you just teams are going to let Jake LaRivia and Marcus Smart prove to them every night they can hit open threes. And if they're not, then we're just going to, like, LeBron's not going to really benefit much out of putting 2 on the ball against Luka. I thought Luka's shot selection actually was fine tonight. I've liked his 3-pointers that he's been taking a little bit more than it was a few games ago or like a few weeks ago. I do think he's trying to get downhill a little bit more, but
still too high for my liking.
Yeah, but like some of those are after he's hit 1 or 2 and he's feeling like, some of the I can understand some of it. It's the ones to me where he catches at the top and then is in this ISO bag of no one else is going to touch the ball this possession. I'm just going to go through my legs and take a step back. Those are the ones I feel like his rhythm is just not as high as I'm coming off a ball screen and the defender is backing up and I can hit him with a rhythm step back. But yeah, I mean, like, again, I think just the offense just was not good enough. And sometimes it does come down to, I have to go rewatch the game, but I think sometimes it does come down to your guys not hitting.
And there's where
threes.
Shamit knocked down 6 of 10 threes. Josh Hart was 3 of 4 from 3-point range. Josh Hart 3-pointers feel like 6-pointers.
It has since his rookie year. We benefited from it.
But yeah, that's and that is like truly, I would say, kind of the takeaway from this game. But I would like to figure out a way to get LeBron more involved when there is so much attention paid to Luka. And like, that's the whole point. Like, that's the thing that the Lakers should be able to. That's why they're so good in the clutch, is because they do try, usually find ways to get, one of the other guy involved. And, the attention usually, and you're right, like the Knicks are specifically tailored in a way that, you have enough of athleticism to shade to the weak side, but also, affect the strong side with that length and athleticism. So like, this is kind of a unique matchup, in that way. That's part of why like Knicks fans are kind of torn on trading for Giannis, is like, that's a lot of wings that really impact the game, like this is a kind of an interesting,
it's not Giannis
identity.
Should not be torn. That's Giannis Antetokounmpo. You trade what you have to go grab him. I would not.
I'm torn on going after Giannis, but I
know.
Part of why I'm so torn on Giannis, Raj, honestly, is because I've seen like how annoyed Warriors fans are, and they're the team probably most likely to get Giannis, and even they are just like, you'd better fucking get this guy. Like, they are so sick of this. They've been on this ride for so long. And I have, like Sam and Andy are pretty good friends of mine at this point, of us at this point. And like, I've watched those guys live this out, that I'm like, I don't want to watch that movie. I don't want to be forced to watch this movie. So
have you been on Goliath at Six Flags?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So like the tick up takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're barely on the start. Like you're saying, you're tired of the Warriors fans are tired of this roller coaster. I don't see it ending in 4 days. And I think this roller coaster is going for like another few months. So I would hold tight, and just this roller coaster has barely started its upward trajectory. But yeah, I think this Giannis thing is gonna extend far past this deadline.
The annoying thing is, I think you're right. I don't, the part that we'll talk about the trade stuff in a second. I want to talk about Austin, because And again, I haven't looked back into this since the game ended, and didn't have a chance. Like when I saw that he wasn't playing in this one, I was kind of surprised, and I was out on the course, so I wasn't able to reach out to anybody. But like I was kind of taken aback by this one, that he wasn't available to play in this one. And you know, a lot of that momentum that his, you know, remember he got that haircut. He and Jake and Luca all got
Yeah,
like the 3-for-1 special at that one
right.
haircut place, apparently, where
Yeah,
they
they need the
bit the
discount.
side of their heads for some reason.
Yeah.
But they you know, that was the first time, and I joked with Austin's agent. It was like, oh, fresh haircut. We got to be getting close, and he was non-committal. And then, you know, got some word from people closer to the Lakers side of things that, yeah, it's looking good for Friday. You know, he didn't, because actually he was actually initially, remember Shams tweeted out that he was going to give it a go against Cleveland that Wednesday,
Right.
and then quickly deleted it.
Deleted it.
I looked into that, and people, you know, there said, yeah, he just kind of jumped the gun. Austin isn't going to play, and he was never really going to play in that game. And then Friday, and then like, you know, the second half of their statement was like, but Friday, I would say, you know, the chances are quite a bit higher that he plays in that one. And he was upgraded to questionable for Friday. And you're thinking, okay, here we go. Let's finally see this guy out there. And then nope, late scratch. He's not actually going to give it a go in that one. And then today it's like, all right, you got the extra couple of days, you should be able to go. And nope, not once again. And this one being a nationally televised game too, you would think that like there would be more transparency on that front, because that's one of the things that the league really kind of looks for. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by, like, you know, how all of this played out. So, Raj, are you starting to get a little nervous about Austin?
I'm not. Austin is someone that I don't like. I know he is an absolute gamer, and so like I know if he wanted to be out there, he would. He's not something that I'm really concerned about. That he's played, you know, through a bunch of, I'm sure, tough injuries and things like that. He came back, I think, probably a little sooner than he wanted to. Then he should have maybe last time, and then he kind of aggravated it maybe or something. But yeah, I don't really worry about that. It feels like to me they wanted to get him an extra few days. Lakers don't play again until Tuesday. If they're able to beat the Nets, I believe on Tuesday, they go 5-3 on this road trip. So maybe they felt like this was another game that can get him. And Anthony, I don't want Austin back till he feels 100%. Like I just don't want him back until he feels 100% ready to go. 1 or 2 games here and there. It is a tough Western Conference, but I, don't want him playing until he feels fully ready to go. And whenever that is, whether that's Tuesday or whether that's Thursday against the Sixers at home, whenever that is, he'll return, and I trust, that he'll come back when he's ready. But yeah, if he's not feeling it, like you mentioned, it's a soft tissue injury. You don't want to mess with those. Like, don't want
in
him
that region
coming
of the body, especially.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, like I wouldn't go so far as to say that I am nervous about it. I am at the point where it's like, okay, what's like, we better get some kind of more definitive update on what happened the last 4 days, 5 days or whatever, where you went from the optimism on Friday to, I guess, 3 or 4 days, but like you went from the optimism heading into Friday to now 3-4 days later, he's not able to give it a go in this game. And look, like the one thing too that I've been kind of thinking about is like a lot of times they'll have guys not travel when they have like an injury that has kept the guy out for as long. And one of the reasons for it is because flying in airplanes is
Right.
not necessarily the best thing for now. Austin is going to want to be with the guys, and there was the optimism that he was going to be able to play at some point during this road trip. And so I understand kind of why they would have him, traveling with the team or whatever. But like, it is one of those hindsight is 2020 kind of deals where it's like, would he have been better served not being with the team, focusing only on his rehab back home, not getting on as many airplanes and staying in as many hotel rooms and all of that stuff as you do during a road trip, especially one that spans. It's been 16. It'll be almost 2 weeks that the Lakers have been on the road, not counting the Clippers day game or whatever. It's just something that like I was thinking about today. It was like, then if you're going to be this deep into the road trip and he's not going to be able to go, then maybe you shouldn't have had him with the guys this whole time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I remember JJ Redick, I think in the final game, I think it was at the Clippers, he mentioned that, Austin was definitely like ramping up and was going to play on the road trip at some point. It was kind of what he was hinting at. And I do think these road trips, Anthony, are a place for the team to bond. Like I'd be just, you know what I mean? This is the longest trip they have, this 8-gamer. And I think it's nice for Austin to be there, even if he's not playing. Like I like having, this is kind of where a lot of players mention that the team really connects and comes together, especially in these road games. But yeah, I'm not sure how the treatment and stuff is going. He seems like he's been close for a while, but again, if he doesn't feel right, if something's wrong, and we don't know these decisions, if these decisions are made by the Lakers or made by Austin Reaves, like we don't know who's the one actually saying, no, you're not ready yet. Wherever it is, I don't want him returning until he's 100%. So if that's Tuesday, if that's Thursday, if that's an extra game, we'll see. But I'm confident Austin will, return when he's ready.
Yeah, no, it's not, to be absolutely clear. Sure. This isn't a matter of like, I'm not saying Austin can go and he's choosing not to go.
Right.
Like,
no, for sure.
He's not D'Angelo Russell, but like, I do think that,
kick a guy when he's out of the rotation.
So funny, like, if you could have, you'd have been like,
I try to get off screen as much as I could, but I really didn't have an out here. There's not much just like movement, so yeah. Just eject button from the chair if I could, but I don't have that option. Yeah.
But no, like I this isn't a matter of like questioning Austin's toughness or anything like that. And I do agree that like there is some camaraderie that can be gained by having a guy on a road trip and stuff. But do I care more about camaraderie or do I care about a guy getting enough treatment so that he's ready to play a little bit sooner? That's the thing that you kind of have to balance. And look, it also needs to be pointed out that this iteration of the Lakers training staff and medical staff is a lot more conservative than in years past, and one of the more conservative med and training staffs that exists in the league. So
yeah. And Austin just returned, right? He returned on Christmas and then got hurt again.
That was a month ago.
Right. But I'm saying that I'm sure
I
that's
see what you mean.
That's in the cautiousness that they're having with him, I'm sure, is that, hey, we're, last time you did return and it got, re-aggravated. Let's make sure this time that doesn't happen.
Yeah. All right. We move on to trade stuff. Raj's favorite.
My favorite thing. Yeah.
He's so excited. Look
Can't wait. Let's break down cap space for Nick for this summer. First round picks available. How much money did the Cavs save? Anthony, I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah.
Wow. The Cavs saved so much luxury tax money. Yeah.
Which is ironic because like they got like the guy that a lot half the league wanted and they saved money in doing so. But
the Kings whiteboard.
The Kings are so stupid. Remember didn't I tell you?
But we can't just say like that's too easy a justification. Like there has to be some thinking involved here. Like the logic in the process. No, the process just doesn't make sense.
Like, have you heard of Occam's razor?
Yes, I've heard of Occam's razor.
Okay, like the oftentimes the most
simplest
explanation is the simplest one. The simplest explanation here, Raj, is that like there's a reason that the Bulls and the Kings keep dealing with each other, and it's because those are the only two people that when they get on the phone, they don't feel like outright stupid with the other party on the phone. And like Anthony, with the Kings, like they just are so dumb. They do so many dumb things that like
but they have
You
people
arrive here.
employed being paid a lot of money to make these decisions. Like these are people whose job it is to think about this all day. I just refuse to believe they wake up one day and go, huh, we signed Dennis Schroeder 3 months ago. Nah, let me trade him with my best tradable prospect on the team with the most trade value to a team that was trying to trade. That was
And like of their bad contracts, I feel like Schroeder's like the least bad.
he's overpaid. Now, yes, he's not in the DeRozan, Levine like group, but he is an overpaid guard for what he is. But I'm with you. Like there was no rush. You didn't have to get off Keon Ellis. This move doesn't push you toward a play-in push. Your season's over. You're letting Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan do whatever they want on offense. Again, there has to be some logic that even if I disagree with the process, there's got to be something like, okay, this is what we were thinking. And I want to hear that. I would love to listen to that. If whoever's in their war rooms would like to reach out and be like, hey, Raj, this is what we're thinking. This is what we were thinking. I'll be like, all right, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that, but at least I can see the logic of it. This trade, again, makes no sense at all. You gave away a player that the whole league wanted to a team where they wanted to get off DeAndre Hunter's money. I just don't get it. But anyway.
And it cost you a pick to do it. You didn't,
Yes.
Not only did you not get a pick, but you sent out a second rounder to get off of Saric's money too. You know, like I just
don't get it.
But anyway, Hunter, so here's what I know of the situation. And as I always try to do here, the qualifying or the qualifier on this conversation is that like we all are dealing with partial information, and we oftentimes, like, you know how, Raj, like the stars that you see in the sky every night,
Okay.
that's the light from like millions of years ago.
Sure.
You know, like very, very often, almost always, the information that finally makes its way to us is information that had been, you know,
right, filtered through
in the you know, making its way through the galaxy. So I finally see that star out there, you know.
Sure.
And like, for example, like the whole thing about Dalton, did he or did he not, or did Dalton's people, did they or did they not ask for a trade? I had it reaffirmed to me over the weekend that back in December was when they went to the Lakers, and again, didn't demand anything, didn't stomp on the door, didn't knock Rob Pelinka's door down, didn't say if you can't trade me, then cut me. Like it's nothing like dramatic or anything like that. Sorry, aggregators. It was just like, hey, he's not playing here. We're concerned about how this is going to go for the rest of his career, especially in LA. You already traded him the one time. He hasn't been able to regain his trust for you guys since. Can we move? Can we all move on? And the Lakers were like, we're trying.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think we've been doing the last few months?
Like Rob was like, hold on, Sacramento. What? I know. I know.
It's like a big whiteboard with like Dalton trade scenarios. He's like walks in. Hey, I'd like to be traded. Oh, really?
Really kind of speaks to Dalton's awareness. That's the obvious joke to make here. But
okay.
But like, yeah, it was just so had that reaffirmed over the weekend that like the Lakers have been trying to so like the framework that's out there is the one that had been out there. I guess trades between the Lakers and Cavs had kind of sputtered out mid to late last week. And the Cavs, you know, because the Kings called them up, was like, do you want Keon Ellis? And they're like, wait, really? Sure. Yes. Yeah, it sounds great. Oh, you can get Schroeder too. All right. We need a ball handler because Darius Garland can't stay on the court. And that became kind of their focus. Also, from the Lakers' standpoint, they kind of like the roadblock for them that they couldn't get by was that they and the rest of the league sees Rui and Hunter as negligible impact players, right? They're comparable guys. And the Lakers are taking on an additional year of salary, and they wanted to be paid to take on that extra year of salary. and the Cavs didn't want to further sweeten the deal, and they couldn't find a third team that also would have needed to be, to have those wheels greased as well. And the Cavs didn't want to send out more assets to do that. So instead, the Cavs wisely got the Bulls and the Kings involved and walked away with, I think, a very good trade for themselves there.
Yeah, I like that move a lot for them. Dennis Schroeder not only fills the ball handling for Darius Garland when he misses games, but Lonzo Ball was kind of signed for that reason, right? This guy who can give you some ball handling.
They're working to move Lonzo.
Yeah, right. And I'm just I was so high on Lonzo with the Cavs, just obviously healthy Lonzo, which is, two words that aren't really put together a lot recently, but healthy Lonzo would have been awesome to me on that Cavs team, but it just hasn't fit. A few things with this trade. These are 3 teams that have nothing to do with the Giannis stake, so they can make these moves, right? They don't have to wait for Giannis to make a decision to be traded. None of their assets have anything to do with the moves that Milwaukee, makes for Giannis, so they were able to make this trade. For the Lakers, I mean, if you put these caveats of we don't want money after this year and we don't want to move our first round pick, right? And so now you're like players that are available at this deadline. It's already a small list. It's not a lot of teams just because how the playoffs work. There's way more people who are buyers, just how the play-in is set up. There's just way more buyers than I think there's ever been. So there's not a lot of teams selling off, and with the lottery odds that they are. So now if you even put those qualifiers on this, it's just hard to find a lot of moves. Like I'm sure the Lakers probably could have got Keon Ellis if they threw in their first rounder, but they were never going to do that. And DeAndre Hunter, like you said, has an extra year on him, and the Lakers don't want money past this season. And I do agree with the premise that Hunter and Rui are pretty similar. I think Hunter is more like the potential of him as a defender is higher, but the actuality of his production.
He's also 28. So like at what point do we stop talking about potential?
That's what I write. But I mean, he's tantalizing. It's very much he's not Cam Reddish, obviously, but it's very much how like Cam Reddish just continued to get shots because of his athletic profile. DeAndre Hunter is going to continue to be put in this, hey, maybe we're the team that figures out, how to use him and leverage his athletic strengths. But I like the move for the Cavs a lot. Bulls were in here just to get a couple second rounders. The Kings, again, I have no idea.
Good for them, by the way. Like they aren't good anyway. Get those couple of second rounders, and
smart move.
They're going to buy out Saric probably. And the last thing I'll say about this Kings thing, because I think the most important takeaway, Roz, was something that you hit on, was that like if the Lakers aren't interested in taking on longer term money, and they also interested in sending out draft assets. Then you aren't getting any better at the deadline. So we'll talk about that. But my final takeaway on this, and something that I've been kind of chuckling about over the last 12, 24 hours, whatever it is, that since the trade went down or was reported, was how like my stance is always like never trade wings for guards. Right.
Okay.
And the Cavs traded a wing for 2 guards, and only the Kings could trade 2 guards for a wing.
Mess up the rule.
Yeah. And I'd be like, you idiots.
Right.
Like it's just they're such a special organization and how they can consistently screw up these things. And what it really kind of comes down to is their ownership. Like their ownership is just kind of all over the place, and they have a head coach that undervalued Keon Ellis. And I think that's a big part of like how this all played out too. And they signed a bunch of guys at like Keon Ellis's positions that he could play. Right. And those guys have been a bigger part of their rotation this season. And that leads to a team basically deciding, it's kind of like the Caruso thing, right? Where like the Lakers had kind of organizationally decided, yeah, this guy, sure, you have the impact numbers, and yes, he started for us in a title deciding game, and yeah, it was all these things, but THT guys, have you seen this highlight reel? And so like sometimes an organization just screws up and undervalues their guy, and another team gets to benefit from it. And we've seen the way that Caruso helped win a championship for OKC and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope helped win a championship for Denver, and that's what happens. These teams just kind of wait for these moments where another team undervalues an important player, and they get to benefit from it.
But I mean, like, again, I'm not don't want to go long on the Kings, but just 2 years ago, they had one of the most fun teams in the league. They had maybe the
Yeah.
best home team in basketball, right? In terms of home environment, Fox, Sabonis, and Keegan Murray. That was a really fun core. Obviously, they don't have as high of a ceiling because of Sabonis's, in my opinion, defensive struggles, but that was a really good team and built well. I thought like they had a nice system with Mike Brown, and then they just tore that all up for what? I don't even
Yeah.
really understand. They had Halliburton too, which that's who they traded for Sabonis for. I can kind of forgive that because of the player they got back. But yeah, 2 years ago they were a respected organization. They had a star that was turning into a superstar in De'Aaron Fox. And now I understand if like I like Keegan Murray a lot. I would understand if they went, hey, we're just gonna rebuild. But instead they went and traded for Zach LaVine, got DeMar DeRozan, kept him, and have let Russell Westbrook kind of have this, rejuvenation season of where he gets to kind of be the old Russell Westbrook. Again, I don't understand it. Keon Ellis, we're going to look back in a few weeks and go, why was this guy not playing? But yeah, it's a weird trade for them.
Is, because they made this move to save some money. And
Sure.
this offseason, if they re-sign Keon, then they're still like they're right back in the same boat that they're in right now, where they would be a second apron team that probably can't win a championship. Sure. And so Ellis is going to be available again this summer, and I'm really curious what his market is going to look like, because I believe he's an unrestricted free agent. And
okay.
I think I have that. I don't think he's restricted. Let me see.
I thought he was signed for another year. I may be wrong on that, but I thought he had an extra year on it.
Keon Ellis contract. Oh yeah, they have a club option. Oh, that they'll probably pick up because it's only 2.3 million.
So an even better contract that was traded. an even better, just amazing contract. Yeah, it's like a team option is for $6 million or something. It's like crazy value. That's the reason, Anthony, like I know you have your hands on your face. That's the reason he was so coveted.
Oh no, Raj. This is the 25-26 season. So
I thought
he's on the club option for this year. Like the club option was for this year. I was like,
oh, okay.
There's no way.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Yeah, but again, they have his bird rights, right? So he's traded with. I would be shocked if Cleveland lets Keon Ellis go. I think like he's a really good player that's under 26 or whatever he is. In my opinion, one of the best defensive guards in the league, and he hits like 44% on catch and shoot threes. Like it's exactly what you want if you have ball handlers around, and he's gonna fit in beautifully to me.
But I'm anyway. Like the point that I was making before you honestly freaked me out, Raj.
I could have sworn he had another option.
When I saw club option potentially for next year, but no, he's an unrestricted free agent.
Okay,
and he's somebody that I think the Lakers should target if they are going to move forward with this cap space thing.
Mm-hmm.
He can be offered an extension, but I don't think the Cavs are going to be giving out extensions, seeing as part of the reason that they did this was to shed some salary, and there's longer term money that they already have on Schroeder by way of this trade. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. But anyway, this is the Lakers show. This is the Lakers lounge. And I think the takeaway being that, this was something, so Wojcicki reported this or noted that the Lakers, didn't want to take back longer term money that extended into the summer and affected their cap space this summer. And they didn't want to send out. And I've been telling you guys over the last couple of weeks that so long as this Giannis situation is still unfolding, that the Lakers were not going to use any future draft capital that could be used on Giannis in any other kind of trade. So if you're not using draft capital and you're not using your expirings on non-expiring money,
right?
Then Raj, that's
Not a lot
There
of
are not very
options.
many avenues to improve your team that way.
No,
So
you're
if
trying to
this
trade
was
expirings for
another
expirings.
quiet trade deadline, how would you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, again, when you're trying to trade expirings for expirings, you're not providing much value, right? Especially when the expirings are Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, that they're just not offense. They're not helping as NBA players. I would like some type of move. I never really expected them to go, with a player that like Trey Murphy or Herb Jones or something like that. I don't even think those guys are available for the first round pick. This feels like a chase at Giannis, and that's the opportunity cost that they're looking at of what player are we missing out on by not taking back, salary and an extra year. My argument would be a player like Michael Porter Jr. is probably one that you're missing out on. DeAndre Hunter, I don't think the Lakers are losing much sleep over DeAndre Hunter. I don't think they're losing much sleep on a lot of these players that are available. But again, Anthony, it feels like, and I've kind of reiterated this, but it feels like it's just they're gonna go into the summer with Luka, Austin, plus the maximum amount of space that they can have. That is the plan that I think has been told directly, indirectly.
It has
Dan
been
kind of
direct. They haven't directly said that
They
is the
haven't
plan.
directly said it, but I mean, Dan pretty much coming out and said we're not taking back salary going forward kind of tells you because Hunter only has 1 year left. He doesn't have two. He'd be a free agent after next summer. So that they're pretty much saying we don't want any money this on the books coming up. And that doesn't have to just be for Giannis. That can be for other players that are disgruntled right now that maybe become available in a few months. But in my opinion, it does feel like we're going towards this Luka Austin plus a ton of space is the plan. There's a way that can be a coherent plan, and there's a way that's plan is kicked again to another deadline. I'd be shocked if that's the case. I feel like they have this deadline and the summer to make things right before bigger changes come about. But that's what it feels like the plan is right now. And that means sitting out this deadline in a way. And maybe you go get like a Sadiq Bey in New Orleans for a second rounders, whatever. Like that's a type of tier of move that I would expect. I don't expect anything big like this, just Cavs and Kings trade that we just saw.
There's some murmurs and whispers out there that the Lakers are going to target a guard that is better than Gabe Vincent, and it's like more guard stuff. All right, cool, but
That's a low bar to clear too. So I mean that's you know what I mean? So that's something you can clear without probably moving a lot of stuff
so
around.
so here's my thing, and let me know if you disagree with any of this. Okay,
Okay.
they are not currently constructed to win a championship right now.
Okay.
They cannot win a championship with this roster. I think we would agree on that.
They would not be contenders to win a
Yeah,
championship.
yeah.
Yes.
So, as I've been saying, like you can't say that you are really trying to go out and win a championship and DeAndre Ayton be your starting center and Jake LaRavia be your best two-way wing. Like, no offense to Jake, no offense to DeAndre Ayton, but those are opposite end of the spectrum realities, right?
Sure.
So, um, and like I don't think there is any move that can be made right now that would change that reality all that much.
Nope.
Like with the even if the Lakers did take on longer term money, even if they did change their mind and start putting draft picks on the table, I don't think there
Right.
is anything that the Lakers could do this year that would turn them into a bona fide. Like I'm watching, like as we've been recording this, I've had the Nuggets OKC game off to the side
Hmm.
over here, and it's just a different caliber of basketball that these teams are playing. And so I don't think that the like that reality is changing at all this year. But what I do think though is that in order to give themselves a chance at winning a championship next year, there is some work that you have to do this year to get that ball rolling.
Yeah.
And if you put off all of the work to build that championship contender this summer. By the way, Rob doesn't like doing a ton of work in the summer. Like not that he doesn't like working in the summer. I mean, it is peak Disney, like hours, but you got he tends to operate at the deadline, right? Prices come down as you get closer to the deadline. And he tends to, his NBA calendar, unless he resets it, tends to feature the deadline as a more active time for him than the summer. So, but like, I think that if the Lakers want to become a title contender next year, they have to do some of that work this year. And if they put it all off for this summer, that is you're wandering, you're wading into waters where you might not be able to do the amount of work this summer that makes you a contender next year. And you're doing all of this, by the way, you're putting all of this off because of the chance that the Bucks might send you Giannis. And it's just such a gamble to me. That really terrifies me how much is being gambled on this. And you basically just punted the Luka LeBron era.
It's definitely gone. A gamble. You're trying to roll. I don't gamble much, but I guess you're trying to roll snake eyes for the second straight year, right? You rolled it last year. It produced Luka Doncic. You're trying to roll it again this year, and it produces Giannis, which I wonder how much of a just absolute revolt the league would have if Giannis somehow ended up a Laker a year after Luka Doncic ends up a Laker. But I'm with you. It's a huge gamble. Again, it's the opportunity cost. You just rolled through how there's no move you feel right now that would change their fortunes against Denver, OKC, put them in the championship contender status. And I think the Lakers feel the same way. They've given this team, I think this team has a puncher's chance, right? Whenever you have Luka Doncic, who's, a top 3 player, whatever in the league, LeBron James, what he can get to in the playoffs, and Austin Reaves playing at an all-star level, I think they want to kind of keep their, asset chest. When it's only one first round pick, like I think they see that as having 0, right? Like they see 1 as having nothing anyway. Dan's tweet, he kind of pointed out that they didn't have the draft capital to get Keon Ellis. And so I think that's the way they see it. And it's a huge gamble, but it's also what's the opportunity cost that you're missing is the question. Again, I would argue that getting I've said this before, I think this team is better than they're covered as. That's not the conversation for this podcast, but I do think this team is better than the way they get talked about. And this not just from nationally, I think just all around. I think this team missing Austin Reaves has been put in small ink instead of bold, huge letters. But yeah, it's tough. And I think they just want a fresh slate this summer, Anthony. And what that means, I think it just means Luka Doncic, Austin, and everyone else on this team right now is auditioning. Ayton's auditioning, Reaves auditioning, Marcus Smart is auditioning. All these players are auditioning to be on the team that you mentioned could be a favorite. And I think that's the way they're approaching this. So I would not expect anything doing at this deadline. I would like to move some of these expirings, but again, if you're trading expiring for expiring, no team is helping you. You're just shuffling, salaries on different teams for no reason. And so if that's the case, then yeah, they've kind of, I think the way you started this show, they're showing their cards, which are to hold them and wait until the summer, unless Giannis gets moved in the next 4 days. I think that can flip. I think that changes a lot of that flips plan A to plan B. And I'm hoping there's a plan B that exists. But
so here's I have 2 points, not final points, because this is a conversation that is going to continue on through the next, few days, and then obviously roll on into the summer. But
sure.
I do think that the buyout market is a place that the Lakers will be able to unearth some talent there. I think there's going to be some talented players that get bought out that the Lakers can get involved with. And I would like to see them open up a little bit more space so that they can get more involved in that and open up a roster spot and stuff that way. But I don't necessarily know how they would do that. Now, all right. So if the point, so if they're really following through with this cap space plan, that means Rui is walking for nothing. And I don't like that idea. I'm not some Rui Hachimura stan. I don't own a Rui jersey or anything like that. But he is too good to just let walk for nothing. And that kind of asset mismanagement is the reason that the Lakers find themselves in the spot that they're in right now, where you only have one first-round pick at your disposal right now, and you are holding on to every little, asset that you have right now for the Giannis sweepstake, which you're probably still going to fall short in because I don't think they have the assets to match up with some of the teams that might get involved here. And the second thing that I'll say here, and I'll say this loud and clear, if the plan is for Giannis, or if the plan is to benefit from the Giannis trade, then the moment that Giannis gets traded in it, and if it isn't to the Lakers, and if the Lakers don't directly benefit from Giannis getting traded to a different city, then Mark Walter needs to walk into Rob Pelinka's office and fire him that exact moment. Because he's banking all of this, like he's skipping out on competing potentially this year, and then it's all for the sake of this this plan here for this upcoming summer and all that cap space and all that stuff. If you don't get Giannis, this is the problem. This is the problem that the Warriors have run into. They held on to James Wiseman, and they held on to Kuminga, and they've held on to all these guys, and it's been for Giannis. And one of those two teams, the Lakers and the Warriors, are not going to get Giannis. He can only play for one of those two teams.
Yeah.
So the Warriors have been putting in there, like and look, the Lakers, like I reported the other day, and I put in that video, the Lakers feel like they are undersold as a Giannis contender, especially, or obviously if he makes it past this deadline. But the Warriors feel the same way. The Warriors are sitting here saying, like, we have the stuff too. So now I kind of disagree about the Warriors. Like this whole, I don't understand why the Warriors assets are seen as this valuable thing. I'm way lower on the Warriors offer than I am on the Lakers offer. But I'm saying this is a gamble, and this is the way that gambling works. If you gamble and you lose, you bust out. You have to leave the table. And for Rob Pelinka, this is the gamble that he's making, and he busts out. He's got to leave the table, and the Lakers got to hire a front office that can more capably put a roster around, build a roster around a Luka Doncic type superstar than Rob has shown that he can build around a LeBron and AD and now Luka type superstar.
It'd be funny if Giannis could like split time between here and Golden State, kind of just, I play December through January here or something like that. But you're right, he can only play for one team. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been clear that this has been the path. Now, they haven't directly said Giannis. I do think Rob gets this deadline, and the summer has been kind of the way I thought about it. He gets this deadline and the summer to execute on whether the plan is Giannis. I'm sure there's a plan that Mark Walter, Anthony, I don't follow the Dodgers, but the way I've kind of read and listened doesn't pass me for a guy who's a passive owner or governor, excuse me, right? I don't think he's very passive in the stuff. Like, he seems very involved. He's obviously been in the room for a long time with Rob. Like, he's been around. He's been a minority owner for a while now. So he knows how Rob works. I'm sure these plans are detailed and given and sold to him as this is what we're doing. I'd be shocked if he's just unaware of any of this. So I'm sure he's a part of this. And if that's the decision that they go with, we'll see how it goes up in terms of what that cap space entails. But again, it doesn't have to be Giannis. Like, cap space is something you can leverage in different ways. You can, they've used the flexibility word a lot. And I'd like that to be used creatively. It doesn't have to always just be for the, star that's available. You can use that for different wings. You can, use that cap space to get other assets from teams. There's ways to kind of leverage that in ways that's not just, let's go absorb the superstar into our space, which isn't really how star trades work anyway. But that seems like the plan. That's plan A, and I'd be interested to see what plan B is. Very much like the Kawhi thing, right? The Kawhi chase was kind of out of out of nowhere. Really, Kawhi suddenly became available, and they were like, okay, we're gonna hold all this other stuff to go chase Kawhi. That didn't work out. There was a plan B quickly acted upon. And I wonder if there's something similar that happens here. But you're right. It's definitely a gamble. You're sitting out another transaction window. And I'd argue you maybe sat out last transaction window in the summer because you didn't really throw all your first rounders and all that into the table. You ended up drafting, and using those picks. So we'll see how it goes. But that seems like the plan. So I'd expect a quiet deadline again, unless Giannis is moved to Portland. Is interesting to me, Anthony. It's not the pod for it, but being able to give Milwaukee their picks back, that's interesting to me. That moves me in a little bit. But again, if Giannis is moved,
I'm of the opinion that Portland should do it. And Portland has a new owner, and new owners usually like to flex that muscle and welcome themselves to the city. And that's a real thing, man. Like I really think Portland is being discounted as like the Lakers feel like they're being discounted as a Giannis contender if he makes it past this deadline. I think Portland is being discounted as a Giannis contender right now. Now, heard over the weekend that they aren't really all that in on him right now. We'll see what like the if that changes. They just kind of under the radar move traded for Vic Krejci, who shares an agent with Giannis, which I thought was super interesting. And like if I'm Portland, I'm like, all right, look, we have a cute young core. They're fine. They're a 9 seed right now, but like Klingon, pretty good center, I would say. I think does have a future as like a solid center in the NBA. Scoot, better than he looked like he was going to be his rookie season. So I think that he's been hurt all year. So I don't know like what he's going to look like when he comes back. Shaedon Sharpe is an interesting youngish player that, I think has some value around the league, but they don't have like the kind of like Spurs young core, or Atlanta young core, or, like even Brooklyn's, I think young core is a little bit more exciting than like the young players that Portland has to offer. But if you're Portland and you're like, yeah, we're a 9 seed, we're already positioned right now in a spot where we could go out and potentially, get some playoff revenue with this roster as it's currently constructed. But if I could turn some of these like larger expiring contracts and some of these younger players and give Milwaukee some of their picks back, and now all of a sudden, if I can hover at the 9-ish seed until Giannis comes back, and now you might get one postseason run with Giannis this year, and then you might get a postseason run with Giannis again next year, and Dame comes back next year. Like now, all of a sudden, that's probably the most intriguing the Blazers have been as a team to their city in like 20 years. Maybe since like Brandon Roy. So like if I'm their owner, I think that's something that I would seriously consider, and that's what their like new owners typically tend to do. So I think Portland is a team that like should be taken a little bit more seriously. And Raj, I'm not gonna lie, I hope they do it. I hope they do it so we can all move on from this Giannis thing and we can actually see what is Rob Pelinka's basketball ideology? What does he actually believe? It's like that Tupac song. Who do you believe in? Like, what is Rob like? What is it that he values other than combo guards and superstars? Like, what is it that he actually believes? Like, how does he actually think you build a roster around Luka Doncic? What does he actually believe needs to be done to build a roster, a championship roster with Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves as your backcourt? Like, what does that actually look like? I have no idea what Rob actually believes in as it pertains to basketball. And that worries me because all he seems to do is acquire superstars, which is a real talent. It's an important talent. But then he holds on to every other potential move and all future flexibility for the next potential superstar acquisition. And it's like, all that means is you wind up wasting a lot of those years that you have with the last superstar that you got. It kind of reminds me of how like Avery manages the apps on her iPad. She brings it. She'll ask me, Daddy, can I download this game? Okay, sure. She'll play that game for like 5 minutes, and then she'll be like, all right, daddy, can I go get this game now? And it's like, but learn to play that game. Maximize your time with that game. Try that out.
I'd be interested to see if Portland gives up Denny Advia for Giannis. Like, I'd be fascinated to see if he enters, because I think if they put him on the table, you're probably able to get Giannis. Like, I'd be shocked if I'd feel like Danny's probably the best player on the table for Giannis right now. You mentioned the Spurs core, but I don't think any of them are actually on the table for Giannis. But yeah, I mean, you look at the last summer. I mean, I thought Ayton would fit better here than he has. But I think it's clear to me now after watching, and hopefully to the Lakers, I think Luka needs an athletic center, like someone who can catch lobs. He just seems to enjoy throwing lobs more than throwing short roll passes. I don't know how much more productive those are, but it definitely something that I think he likes to do. And I think the Lakers need an anchor at center defensively a little bit more than DeAndre Ayton's going to provide. So those are things that I think like you have some of the answers in terms of how to build around Luka, but I'm with you. Also, like, some part of this is it's Giannis. So like 6-7 teams are going to put everything on hold for that. And I think Giannis is worth that. Like, I saw you tweet out, I think you and Sam Quinn, who does great work as well, we're kind of talking about the concerns of signing Giannis to long-term deals. But I think Giannis is the type of player that, again, is not available usually. Like, these type of players aren't really available on the open market. And so if you have a chance at that, I do think you have to do due diligence. Now, what the bar for that is, you can kind of, decide that. But Giannis is worth everything. And I think the Warriors feel like, hey, we have 4 first-round picks and your favorite player, Jonathan Kuminga, let's play ball. And the Bucks are like, no, we don't want Jonathan Kuminga. But again, they have 4 first to give.
I just don't get it. Like, all right, yeah, you can trade us Jonathan Kuminga, who Steve Kerr doesn't want to play, like has no interest in it. Sure. Hall of Fame coach who, like, yes, he was made by Steph Curry, but still, I think Steve Kerr is widely respected as one of the better brains in basketball. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on Kuminga. Kuminga also, by the way, can't stay healthy. Like, it's completely undercovered how frequently this guy is not available.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then the other thing too, all right, so you have Jonathan Kuminga, and then they're like, yeah, they could also include Jimmy Butler. 57-year-old, like, post ACL tear, Jimmy Butler, and you're going to send him to a situation where that team's going to be bad. Also on the extension that he just signed, that guy,
and they don't own their picks.
He's going to highlight this trade package. And like, yeah, they could send out non-Steph Curry picks, and I think those are going to be intriguing to a lot of teams. That's the value. In the league. But the thing there is, they are far enough out that Steph Curry is probably going to be, retired or past his prime at that point. Although nowadays we don't know how long primes extend. So sure. I think that is part of the math that needs to be recalibrated as well. But by the time some of these picks convey, the idea is that Steph Curry is, but by the time those picks convey, all Golden State has to do is not be terrible for those picks to be not worth giving up Giannis for. So, like, that's another lottery ticket that you're gambling Giannis on. And also, if I'm the GM that trades Giannis, am I really all that interested in picks 7 years from now? I just traded Giannis Antetokounmpo. I am probably the seat is probably warming up underneath me.
Sure.
Is that really something that I'm interested in taking back and trying to sell to the fan base? All right, guys, I know that we just traded away the most popular player since Kareem and the most impactful Milwaukee Bucks since Kareem and maybe ever, especially like given how popular the Bucks are compared to what they were back then. Like, I know that we just traded away this guy, and I know that I sat here and kind of fudged away his prime by hiring Doc Rivers and by, mishandling this roster. But guys, just think about how financially flexible we are now. No fan base is going to be thrilled about that. So, like, I don't know. I don't understand why, like, the Warriors are seen as this, like, direct path, or seen as having this direct path to Giannis right now. Where like if I'm Milwaukee, I don't see anything that Golden State could put on the table that would make me be like, oh shit, I got to get that trade done now because that trade's going to be there this summer. It's not changing.
Well, none of these, I mean, the Warriors and the Lakers specifically, none of them happen without Giannis specifically coming out and say, I want to be a Warrior or I want to be a Laker. Like that's the first domino that has to fall for either of those teams, because in an open, not even open market, like a semi-open market with like 6 to 7 teams, both the Warriors and Lakers don't have a package that matches, Miami or, Portland can throw out, like maybe even the Spurs if they really want to get into it. But Giannis would have to come out, and he seems not willing to do this, Anthony. Like Giannis still seems very
you see all the ways that Shams is phrasing it, so it's trying to make it like Giannis is now open to a trade. He didn't request, guys. He didn't request it.
Right.
Didn't ask for it, but he's open to it.
Right.
And it's like Shams.
Yeah, so that's what has to happen first, and it just doesn't seem like that's happened. Maybe that's happened behind closed doors. I don't know. Doc Rivers went on TV today and say Giannis wants to be a Buck. I would hope Doc has some information, he's more privy to than we are because he's the head coach. But yeah, all those things don't like we're talking about deals and first round picks and Jonathan Kuminga. Like all that is all predicated on Giannis coming out and saying, hey, I want to be specifically here. Yeah. He doesn't seem like he's willing to do that now. I feel like maybe in 3 to 4 months in the summer, he's a little bit more open to it. Middle of the season, it's tough to kind of put your teammates in that type of bind as well. So I kind of understand what he's doing, but he's kind of just pulling off the inevitable, which like he's going to become the villain. Like Luka left a hero in Dallas, and because of very special, specific circumstances, Giannis is going to have to come to grips with like, you want to leave? Like the Bucks aren't going to be the one to do it. You're going to have to one that pushes it. And so we'll see if he's ready to.
All right, let's quickly answer some of your guys' questions because Thrones is calling. First, we have a few super comments, which means we get to play this sound. Or Raj, seeing as this roster probably isn't going to change all that much before or after, I guess, before the deadline. The other sound I could have played was this one.
Run it back! Run it back! Run it back! Run it back! Run it back!
For some reason, it feels different when it's about a Super Bowl team.
I was hoping the Rams would be playing this Sunday. I was kind of hoping for it.
Yeah, but like it feels a little different for being a Super Bowl team compared to like Gabe Vincent. But anyway, the starred comment that we will start with. Let me just scroll up, make sure this is actually the first one. Okay, cool. No, wait, no, that isn't the first one. Justin Tyndall writes, year 8, whole league knows Shamet's only skill is shooting threes, except us, 42% on the year. Took 10, made 6, shows we ain't contenders. They were all wide open. Well, they were all wide open, and they weren't exactly flying to close out to them. But a lot of them also came in offensive rebounding situations where you scrambled for the offensive rebound and the ball kicks out. Like a lot of times, that's just how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy how frequently Shamet was just open on non-rebounding situations. And yeah, you give up 6 3-pointers to a guy who, like, anytime he catches the ball, the whole team should be screaming shooter. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nice fit for him though. Shamet has kind of found a nice fit on that team. I think some of those were in transition too, I believe, when I was watching. But yeah, Lakers have that issue. A guy gets hot and they just let him continue to shoot. Shamet also is a guy that you don't really want to be doubling with everything. Like you don't really want to have too much attention on him with the way the Knicks play. So sometimes those guys get open looks with the way that Brunson and Cat run their offense. But yeah, that's too many threes. And that was, to me, that was the difference of that game. We already went into it, but the 3-point shooting, 42% for the Knicks, 28% from us, that felt like the difference in the game.
Yep. Next one, also from Justin. For me personally, to be a superstar, you have to be a two-way player. Playing zone to hide Luka is getting really annoying. 0 effort when we play zone. I don't think it's just to hide Luka.
I don't think so either.
But I will say this, that like the teams that run zone well that zone isn't a passive zone, right? Like
Sure.
that, the guys fly. Watch how like I think Miami is probably one of the better zone teams in the league. And you watch the way that they play their zone and the way that guys fly around within that zone. And it's like that is so different from when the Lakers go. Do you remember playing 2-3 zone when you were growing up?
Mm-hmm.
And how like you would start your defensive possession at the elbow because I'm guessing
Right.
you were a guard, right?
Right.
So like you would start your and you would just kind of like stand there and you'd be kind of on your heels and you'd be like
Mm-hmm.
waiting for something to happen. And
Right.
like
For the ball to hit your side of the floor. Yeah.
yeah, but like if you're a good defensive team, that's not how you defend in a zone. If you're a good defensive team and you're running a zone, you're up and you're trying to guide the offensive player into a spot that they can't take advantage of you being a zone from. And what happens a lot of times with the Lakers, because they run more of a passive zone, is that ball finds its way into the middle. And once the ball finds its way into the middle of a 2-3 zone, it's over. You basically just have to hope that they miss the shot attempt, whether it comes from the free throw line, whether it is the guys rotate to defend that free throw line jumper and it becomes a 3-pointer. Like once the ball gets into the middle of a zone, it's over. And I think a lot of times because of how passive the Lakers zone is, they give that pass up too easily.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of too much NBA zone. Again, I think it's used as a crutch in terms of just trying to go to something different, be a little unique type of defense. I think teams that rely on zone have some roster deficiencies. I agree with you. I think it's not just to hide Luka, but I think that's a part of it. Like zone
Yeah.
is really something to keep teams out of the paint when your perimeter defense just isn't at like a baseline level. You're getting blown by too much, so you kind of have guys defend areas instead of actual players or man to man. But yeah, I think JJ has used it the correct amount, though. I don't feel like we run a crazy amount of zone. I do think we run it against some of the worst teams to run it against. Sometimes we run it
Yeah,
against
like you run a zone while Landry Shamet is on the court. You give up
yeah,
open threes. You're like,
yeah,
man, how'd that happen?
right, yeah.
you know, like they ran zone against this Denver Nuggets team when they didn't have Jokic and they had
Right,
an
and they
extra shooter out there on the court. And
hit
you're
like
like,
5 threes in the first
yeah.
quarter or 9 threes
So
in the first quarter. Yeah.
yeah, I don't really like the Lakers zone in particular. I'm mostly with you that like zone. I actually think zone should be just disallowed from basketball. Like I'm fine. Like if like the basketball czar somehow existed and the first rule that they put into play was like, all right, no more zone defense, I'd be fine with it. 'Cause I hate
Yeah,
it in youth sports because it's always used, like it's
it's
this
used so much.
packed in. It's like this really packed in 2-3 zone at ages where kids can't shoot the ball from
Right,
three-point
yeah,
range yet. So it
that's
just
why it's
turns
used.
into this like ugly version of basketball that doesn't really help anybody learn how to play. So like I hate zone basically like as a concept anyway.
Mhm.
But I think in the NBA, eventually you're gonna get picked apart. Eventually, unless
Sure.
it's against the Lakers and they for some reason struggle against it. But maybe do you think that's why they run so much zone? Because like it works so well in scrimmages.
No. Oh, God.
They're running fives. And
Dalton's having trouble. We gotta put this in. Yeah, no.
where do you think Dalton struggles more in that? Like, do you think he struggles more in the defensive zone or in the
Oh, God,
offensive,
yeah.
like trying to take apart?
Zone should be, like, right under his wheelhouse of, "This is my time to shine." Like, this is
Yes.
literally yeah.
That was always, because like one of the only things I was probably like actually good at in basketball was shooting. So when we would do like zone practice, I would love it. I would camp out like 10 feet behind the 3-point line and just fire away. And there was nothing that 2-3 could do. There's nothing
Right. That's what they're giving up.
yeah. And it was great. It was awesome. All right. The next question here, also from Justin Tyndall. Gabe Vincent, Maxey aren't going to be traded. Are they? I would be kind of surprised if both were on the roster beyond the deadline. I think the Lakers are looking to find a way to add I do think they're looking for a better guard than Gabe, or at least a bigger guard. Because he just gets run right through. When he's defending, and you can't have the guy who you say is out there to help be a solid defender be picked on to the extent that Gabe Vincent gets picked on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of tough, but I think they're looking to do that. And then, it appears to be some competition for Sadiq Bey. So we'll see what his price actually comes in at, but that kind of a player who would be like your
eighth or
ninth
ninth
guy. Yeah. Like, I think that'd be the kind of move. I
Yeah.
would be underwhelmed. I would be a little annoyed at that being the deadline.
Sure. I mean, Gabe still plays, gets his rotation minutes. I think Gabe is a player that's probably respected around the league as a veteran presence that a team can bring in. But again, I go back to the conversation we started this with. If you're just trading expirings for expirings, there is no business to be made. And they're just not really players that you're going to trade Gabe Vincent for, where the other team is giving you a player that's better than him to get Gabe Vincent in. So we'll see if those two. Maxey, I think, just is on the team and will expire, is how I've kind of gone about thinking about this in terms of if they're not trying to take money on past this season, that, iterates to me that they want the space for this season, this coming summer. And the most assured way to do that is just let that contract expire. But Gabe, I can see a market for, like, some team could sell themselves on backup point guard with some experience and leadership they can bring into a locker room. So we'll see.
Miami still likes him, so maybe in some 3-team deal, Gabe somehow winds up back in Miami.
Eric Spoelstra is going to do some crazy magic, and Gabe Vincent is going to turn right back into the player that was starting games, hitting step back threes, floaters, mid ranges.
No, I'll tell you what I was actually nervous about was like the notion that like Dalton could maybe go to like Sacramento or something like that, where
light it up.
Yeah, like he looks great when you're able to turn your thinking cap off and it just becomes a scrimmage and there's no stakes associated with whether you miss a shot or not. Like, he looked great in the G League, right? Like,
It looked good. Yeah.
And it's like and Sacramento is essentially like a step above a G League team.
Oh, man.
So
all right.
Wow. How would I even try to say this name? Taman Singh Multani, 4441. You think Kuminga gets traded? Can we sign Watson and trade for Claxton and Herb Jones? What kind of pay cut will LeBron take if we make those moves? None. Like, LeBron takes a pay cut if they get like Giannis, I think.
Even then.
And I do kind of want to change the way that we phrase that, the whole notion of like pay cut, because I don't think this year LeBron has been a max level player. He's 41. So I don't think this should be the kind of thing that like gets me, in trouble or anything like that. He's been really bleeping good in moments where he can really kind of rear back and fire that 99-mile-an-hour two-seamer. But overall, and especially if you include the time that he missed at the beginning of the season and the amount of time that it took him to get his legs underneath him, he has not been a player, just from a basketball standpoint, who is worth the $50-something million that he's making this year.
Yeah.
I think that, like, when we talk about, is LeBron taking a pay cut? Will LeBron take a pay cut? Like, we kind of sort of need to say, will LeBron be paid like the basketball player that he is at this stage of his career? It'll be less than he's making now, or would be less than he's making now. And like, if LeBron like signs for $10 million, that is a straight up pay cut. Like, that would be well below his market value, or, for him as a basketball player. But if you're looking at him at like the 25 to 30 range, or the 22 to 27 range, that is about the basketball return on investment that I think you're getting from him.
Yeah, again, I like max salaries have a lot of other things into it. right? And so it's not just the production, it's the sale, like there's a lot of stuff that goes into a player that makes a max. LeBron is still worth the max from that standpoint. I'm with you on the production. Probably not a $50 million player anymore. I don't think LeBron is taking a discount here, though. I'd be shocked if he takes any discount here. Maybe to go.
Where would he want to play, Raj, that doesn't feature him taking a discount?
No, I'm saying like I don't think he would take it here with the Lakers. I could see him maybe taking a discount like with with to go back home to Cleveland or something like that. I just don't see him here taking one after not getting the extension and all, the stuff that's kind of gone on. I just don't see him taking one, and that's his right as well to, he can kind of demand, and we'll see what the market is when he gets to this summer. But I think he's still, like you mentioned, his ceiling is still 28, 8-8 or whatever, right? And he can average that. And I think he can still push that to 30 something in a playoff series, be the best or second best player during that series against the top players in the league. But yeah, I just don't see a discount coming, no matter what move the Lakers make. Giannis, maybe, like you mentioned.
I think you would seriously consider it to stick around and win a championship with Luka and Giannis and Austin with Bronny still here, right? Because the other thing too, like let's say LeBron says, "All right, I want to go back to Cleveland." Is he going to be like, "Hey, can you let Bronny out of his contract to come with me? Hey, can you trade Bronny to Cleveland so that he can come with me?" Like that gets kind of awkward. Does Bronny stay a Laker? Does he say like, "Dad, go up to Cleveland,
right? Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Let me do this over here."
Right. Yeah.
Bronny's like, "I've been waiting to be a low 20-something Los Angeles Laker
Right.
millionaire
Right.
without
Yeah.
dad in the locker room with me since day one. Let me have this."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a joke, but yeah, but like, I don't know, like he's talking a lot about retirement, Raj. Like this is a quote that just came out from him today. Dave, at the end of the day, everything has to come to an end at some point. So no matter what it is, it's going to be like, shit, I'll never play in Madison Square Garden. I'll never play in certain arenas. I'll never play again, period. That's a
Yeah.
quote that Dave just tweeted out, McMenamin. And so it's like,
possible.
I don't see it. I still think he's going to look for a farewell tour and a documentary in his last year and all that stuff. But this has also had to be a pretty frustrating season for him, right? He started the year as, not healthy. He finally gets healthy. He's not voted as a starter for the All-Star game for the first time ever. He's probably not going to make an All-NBA team this year for the first time ever. His 10-point record streak thing gets snapped, and he can say it didn't matter to him, but we know it mattered to him enough to come back into the game and play after Solomon Hill dove into his ankle. Like and also he's playing on a team where he's no longer the guy. He's playing on a team where Luka, is the center of the Lakers universe again. And he might be looking at this entire NBA landscape. I mean, like, there's nowhere that I would want to play where I would be the center of that team's universe. He would for sure be like the center of the Kings universe, but he doesn't want to go play for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. I think if he went to Cleveland, he would be accepted back with open arms. Obviously, that team is run by Donovan Mitchell offensively, but I think LeBron would come and kind of take over in terms of the attention and all that, and it would be his last season. I would be sure. There's a chance LeBron just hangs it up at the end of the season, but we're in February right now. I do think there's something that happens in the middle of the summer where he just gets re-excited, and this is that's a credit to him, by the way, that he just loves the work enough, because he obviously doesn't need any of this, doesn't need the money, doesn't need, he's got every accolade that you could want. The Jordan LeBron conversation is kind of going to be what it is to whoever. So he doesn't need any of this. But the fact that he continues to do this is why I believe that in June or whatever, he's going to sign again somewhere, or July, whatever, is going to sign and decide to do this for one more year and really soak in and get get what he deserves, right? Which is a full tour. Like he's one of the guys ever that
Absolutely.
deserves that. He deserves every bit of attention that tour would create. Does it happen here? Who knows? But I do think he not only wants one but deserves one. And so we'll see if how that plays out. But again, there's a chance he ends the season and is like, look, I'm tired. I want to spend time with my family. My kids are getting older. Like there's answers there, but discount, I don't see it. I can't see him doing that, but maybe for the right team, maybe. I just don't see that here.
Yep. All right. That is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. I knew it was going to be a long one. They tend to be long when Raj and I haven't spoken in a little while. The Lakers are in action again Tuesday night, right?
Yes.
Not tomorrow, but
It's
Tuesday against the Brooklyn Nets. And then the next game they play after that is on deadline day. So we will see what that unit eventually and finally looks like. And look, this is the week, right, where news comes hot and heavy and quickly and stuff. Oh, we have one more time. One more here. Ali Rizvi, 3493. Anthony Raj, Ali from
Vegas.
It's a slot machine. So, okay. Is it Vegas, Ali? Appreciate the dope content as always. What are your predictions for the Lakers at the trade deadline? It's. I think it's gonna be quiet.
I think so too.
Unless Giannis gets traded between now and the deadline. Now, look, if Giannis gets traded between now and the deadline, I think everything is on the table.
I agree.
I think at that point, you know, a first rounder for like Nick Claxton or a first rounder for Herb Jones, or you know, maybe like, yeah, like any number of things are possible at that point. But I just, outside of the Portland scenario, I don't see anything on the table right now for Milwaukee that won't be there waiting for them this summer. And by the way, like if OKC doesn't win a championship this year, or if they get knocked out in the second round, has been happening to you know, teams that just won the championship the year before for some reason for a few years running, and they say like, all right, we're getting really expensive. We're heading towards a reset, you know, financially anyway. Let's trade some of these, like, you know, larger contracts and go out and all, you know, all of the picks that Milwaukee could possibly want, that are from other teams, you know, and they get involved in this, then it's like the Milwaukee was 100% right to wait for
to
that
hold it
situation.
Yeah.
You know? So like, if I'm Milwaukee, if that happens with OKC, if that happens with San Antonio, if that happens with Houston, if that happens with Brooklyn, if, you know, like any number of these, like there's no team right now that's in on Giannis that wouldn't be in on Giannis this summer. And there are probably teams that are in on, or that aren't in on Giannis that maybe by the time you get to the summer might then be in on Giannis. Can you get an Amen Thompson from Houston? Can you get in a, you know, like one of the guys from Detroit, right? Is that a possibility? Do the Knicks finally move one of their wings and get enough draft stuff to make it worth Milwaukee's while there to send him to the Knicks? Like any of those things could play out. And those are, I think, more fruitful outcomes to this than Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler's busted knee, and some lottery ticket picks from Golden State.
Yeah, I don't see Presti doing it, but it's not
Me
the way
neither.
that OKC
Me neither.
operates.
I'm just saying though that like if I'm Milwaukee,
it's good to wait. Yeah,
it's worth it to wait. Like it's even if you don't think it's worth it to wait, like it's not worth the opportunity cost of making this trade now before the market gets bigger. You know, it's like you do that, you wait.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see what they do. All right. Yeah, like I said, I will be back here tomorrow to record a mailbag episode. Some news in the lounge. Harrison is going to be now a weekly contributor here too. Like he's going to be on the show once a week. We're figuring out the day. This time of year, like it just kind of depends on the news and stuff like that. But that is the thing that is happening. So excited about that. And then Raj, I guess I'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
Yep, against the Nets.
So until then, until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Raj Chapalu. This has been the Lakers Lounge. Have a great rest of your weekends. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you tomorrow, or maybe in like 15 minutes if a trade happens. I don't know. We'll see. Have a good one, everybody.